Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Welcome here to another edition of Husker Online Headlines. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, and we're brought to you by one of our new presenting sponsors, Sartor Hamann Jewelers here in Lincoln. Make them your go-to for your Husker jewelry needs. They're home of the one-of-a-kind handcrafted Husker jewelry featuring their famous 14-karat gold corn cob earrings and pendants made by hand in our master jewelry shop using real gold and emeralds for the leaves. These are limited in supply. Also, our Nebraska state pendants featuring the outline of the great state of Nebraska, a ruby in the place where Lincoln is on the map. Be the talk of your tailgate here, heading down to Arrowhead Stadium or whatever Husker game with this one-of-a-kind Husker jewelry. They also sell out fast every season, so this is something if you want this for your wife as a preseason gift, you better get on it and make sure you mention Husker Online to the store or put in Husker Online all in lowercase, and you'll get 10% off your orders. Again, use the promo code Husker Online to get 10% off with Sartor Hamann. They're a Nebraska tradition as famous as the Cornhuskers. 120 years of excellence, 4 generations of family. Don't mess around with the rest. Come see the best. Sartor Hamann Jewelries in Lincoln and Grand Island, online at SartorHamann.com. Thanks again to Sartor Hamann, presenting sponsor here.
Rick Heyman is a great man. That is an incredible company and is very family oriented. Welcome aboard. I love Rick. He's a friend.
And we might see Rick on Wednesday night.
I imagine we will.
So Wednesday night, Zipline Live Show, Husker Online's preseason special, the very popular preseason show we did a year ago. It's at Zipline Tap and Grill in Fallbrook, 6 o'clock showtime. But we'll be there early and late to hang out. Smash burgers on special, drink specials, prizes. We'll be out on the great patio there in the lovely Fallbrook storefront there at the Zipline Tap and Grill.
Can I just have a smash burger and a Coors Light? Can I do that?
Well, it's Zipline beer.
Well, I can have that too.
Yeah, you have a Zip Light sip.
Yeah, both.
All right. Thanks again to Zipline, and we're looking forward to that show on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. But let's get into the content here.
Let's talk ball.
Headline number 1, Nebraska conducted its second scrimmage, on Saturday. And the buzz around this offense continues to the point where I think if this team goes places this year, I think we all agree it's going to be possibly because of what this offense is able to do in terms of the points, the efficiency, the yards, and what they can do with Dana Holgorsen.
We're just talking about a feel, but it's also, you talk to people, I talk to people, and that's the sense. I don't want to speak for you, but that's the sense I get that this team, okay, if you just want to put points per game on it, it seems like a team that could get to 35 a game, which gets you pretty close to the top 25, which would be an enormous jump, obviously, for a team that was struggled on offense mightily last year. But it looks like we're looking at a major turnaround with a new offensive coordinator, with an offensive line that, it's fortified by a couple of transfers, but good returners. And then they went out and got some playmakers in the portal. And I don't want to always say that because they also, Sean, developed guys as young receivers in the program, Ja'Cory Barney, Quinn Clark, that type. So there's a lot there.
Well, and yeah, we got a good snapshot of what it could be last year. Dana Holgorsen put up 44 points on Wisconsin, and that was the same Wisconsin defense that held Oregon the week before to 16 points.
Yeah.
So that was an limited Dana Holgorsen. Now we've got full offseason Dana Holgorsen. And what I thought was interesting on Saturday, Matt Rule said Dana Holgorsen's offense, it's not really fancy. They just do the little things and the details so good that eventually it leads to big plays. And you know who that reminds me of? Tom Osborne.
Yeah.
They would run that short side option, the fullback trap, the little details, and all of a sudden you have Corey Schlesinger running over Warren Sapp in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I want to be careful with hyperbole, but
I'm just saying, right. Osborne's offense wasn't necessarily fancy, but they did the details and the little things. And Holgorsen is built on similar principles with what he's trying to do.
I think the word we're looking for here is routine play after routine play after routine play after routine play. And then bam, one of those routine plays, somebody spins out of a tackle and they go. And what Holgorsen said he's had about 3 or 4 lines that captured fans' imagination. And one is he's seen explosive plays, which he hadn't seen here since he's been here until now. So he's seen explosive plays. He also had that line about Dylan's making throws I've never seen a quarterback make. Okay, now, see, that's why we're talking about like this. Oh, okay. And then he talks about the offensive line. Okay, it's veteran, and they've really come together. We have our top 8. See, that's why we're saying this stuff. And then you hear about the scrimmages, and you hear rules say we're very, 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 very efficient on offense. That was the first scrimmage. In the second scrimmage, he said we were very efficient, had some big plays. The defense did fight back, got a turnover for a touchdown, but it just sounds like it's very offensive.
Yeah, the game day operation, I think, is going to be much better too. Just think about how jumbled that had to be a year ago with the game day operation
when Dana came on.
Right.
Oh God.
And now it's going to be smooth. You would hope, because they've had so much more time together, and he can develop his game day operation the way he wants it. And that's as important as anything, just the flow and the game day operation of how you run your offense during the game.
Dana said that it was like learning Japanese in a month. That's what he encountered. He said he has said in so many words, it's the hardest period he's experienced as a coach. So you're right. Oh, operation's going to be smoother. And he had that comment too to USA Today that he went to Dylan and said, "Are you staying? Because if you're staying, I'm staying." So I say that it illustrates the importance of Dylan in Holgorsen's mind. He feels he has a quarterback that can win at a super high level. It's not breaking news, but it was informative to me that he went to Dylan and said, "Are you staying?" And Dylan said, "Yeah, of course." And he said, "Okay, well, I'm staying."
Let's not kid ourselves to the importance of Dylan Raiola to the whole operation. And it attracted Dana Holgorsen to this job. It attracted some key transfer portal players to come to Lincoln. Troy Dannon is probably hoping the Dylan Raiola that we want to see plays at a high level so he can get a stadium built. I mean,
he's got enormous pressure.
I mean, there's a lot on the plate of this young man, but he wants it too.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be fazed by it. Now, the games are going to start, and we'll see what it looks like. But in terms of how he handles the pressure, because there's going to be enormous pressure. If they win, if they get to 9-1, that's enormous pressure. I mean, the pressure escalates. I think that Dylan will handle. He just seems that way. He seems like a gamer. But when Dana got here last, was it early November, and his first meeting with Dylan, Dana said his head was spinning. I mean, he was tired, beat down, and his head was spinning.
Well, we talked about this a lot. The defense has adjusted to him in this league, and being a younger quarterback, it's hard to learn and adjust back.
Yeah, right. And it's a coaching league now.
Because initially, when they were seeing zone defenses early, he was just picking them apart.
And then what happened?
Then everybody said, "We're going to lock you up, and your receivers aren't getting open. So we're going to play tight man press coverage and make you throw the ball to guys that aren't open."
Now, this is where you can help me with football. When it's tight press man coverage, the quarterback better run.
On top of where Dylan was not running. And then you saw at Ohio State that early run that he popped.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then it started really at that point. You saw him start to run more. And now, so what's happened is now he's still about the same weight. He's just changed his body. And he'll be able to run, and they're going to ask him to.
He said he's playing between 225 and 230.
Yeah, and I think it was 230 last year, and maybe got over 230. But it's not so much the weight is how he distributed it. And again, I saw when he rambled around right end on that open practice we saw on a Saturday night this month, that looked good. He can run it now.
All right. Well, that should be.
And they'll ask him to.
All right. That should be something to watch here, especially how much he runs in this season opening game. But before we take it to headline 2, here we're again brought to you by Sartor Hamann, but also Crani-Yum energy drinks. And we're both enjoying these. In fact, Sip, I had a book signing in Omaha, and one of our loyal listeners came in with a Crani-Yum. And not only a Crani-Yum, the blue twist flavor.
Yeah, because they're real. They're real.
I got the last one. I'm
glad you have one.
I got the last blue twist, but
I'm glad you have one.
Great drink based out of Fremont, Nebraska. And, it's a healthier energy drink made by 2 lifelong Nebraskans, sugar-free, helps increase your focus levels and your clarity too. Like I put one down Saturday and I was locked in.
Yep. Yeah. You're better when you have one. I've noticed that.
Well, and somebody in the comments said there's Splenda McDonald's coffee sipple, and then there's Crani-Yum sipple. And
I don't know the difference, but I don't know what he's alluding to. But anyway, they're real. I like them, and they do help you.
And they sell it not just at Hy-Vee and stores, but a lot of that like GNCs and health markets carry them around the state. But easiest way to do it if you're not in the listening area is online. Go to their website, drinkcraniyum.com. That's Crani-Yum, YUM. Use the promo code HuskerOnline. You'll get 10% off your order and free shipping. So you're going to get the best price with free shipping and 10% off. Order a case of Crani-Yum, try it out, make it, ditch the coffee in the afternoon. Have one of these, and I'm telling you, you're going to be locked in.
Yeah, it has a good effect on you, and it tastes good.
All right, well, let's take it now to headline number 2. And we talked offense here. Let's talk defense now. Defensive coaches covered a lot of ground on Monday. We heard from John Butler. We heard from Phil Simpson, the edge coach, as well as Terry Braden, the defensive line coach. So a lot of ground covered with these coaches. You get the sense that John Butler would like to play really his entire 2 deep if he can. He didn't really want to get into a number, but that's kind of the rotation, the number of players he would like to get out there.
Yeah. It's a meritocracy. They're not going to do it for charity. They're not going to play. They're not going to go deep into to
keep a guy happy.
To keep happy. No, you got to earn it. But yeah, you get sort of hints about what it's going to look like. Like Phil Simpson. This is what I'm talking about. Phil Simpson coaches the outside linebackers. He said there's a lot going on in our defense. We use a lot of different players. That's a clue. That's a clue. There's a lot going on. So it's not probably you're just not going to see him line up and 4 down, three down linemen, stay stationary. They're going to do a lot of different things is my feel. There's going to be a lot of movement. They're going to use a lot of different players. They're going to probably have some, I don't know, I hate the term exotic, but probably some exotic blitzes. I think that's what
versatility.
There you go. That's a better
word. A lot of interchangeable parts.
Yeah, that's a better word. They're really athletic on the second level. I think when we're talking about this, that's what we're talking about. They're really athletic on the second level.
It's like that tool you have that has a lot of versatility. You can add a bunch of attachments to it.
Yeah,
that's this front 7. Like it's a very versatile tool that can carry a lot of attachments.
Yeah, I think you would say the entire front 7 because I think what you're talking about is like that jack moving down to the, at the line of scrimmage. That could be McCall. It could be McGahee. They might be both on the same field at the same time. Could be Jordan Ochoa, right? He's a natural pass rusher. Even like they're starting to talk about Dylan Rogers a little bit. So there's a lot of guys there.
Well, and we know 2 of the inside when they play 4-man. Okay. Riley Van Poppel, Elijah Judy fit that inside. I think we're kind of learning a name to watch though. Cade Pedshock, where he's and I don't know where he lines up, how they utilize him, but his emergence in fall camp for a guy that wasn't here in the spring, is from West Fargo, North Dakota. So, not necessarily a hotbed of producing high-level Division I players. He's come in and he's turned heads. And John Butler said he will play for us this year, meaning they're not going to redshirt this guy, which tells you he could be playing, maybe 15, 20 snaps a game as a true freshman.
That might be a little bit ambitious, 15 to 20. I'd go down 7 to 12, but he's playing. And
you can't really say that, though, until we
it's hard to say.
Tell how good he is.
The other guy that there's a few
Jalen George.
Yeah, there's a few guys we didn't talk about much at the start of camp. Pedshock's one, Jalen George is another. Jalen George is, I don't know, 12 to 15, 12 to 17 snaps, something like that, probably. We'll see. But he's definitely will be another guy that we weren't really talking about.
Like, if they play a 4-man look, would it be Judy on the inside with Van Poppel, but then like your next group of guys could be Pedshock and George
inside
on the inside?
Yeah.
And then obviously you have the ends. You have Cam Lenhart. You have like Jalen George is 295, so he can definitely be an inside guy.
George is up to 295 because when he got here from East Tennessee State, he was listed like 260, and you wondered, is he going to be big enough?
Well, and Rule has said this, that the amenities here, the training table, help some of these guys. When he was playing at East Tennessee, they just didn't have that. On game days, Jalen George ate in the cafeteria
with the student body.
Yeah,
so he's benefited greatly from the fact you can just hammer calories here. And the right kind.
Good kind.
Yeah, the right kind. So yeah, that was a lot of the discussion. A lot of the discussion today. One comment that John Butler said that got a lot of attention was, in the secondary, we're going to play as aggressively as the officials allow.
I love that comment.
Why?
Because he went back to his NFL and the playoffs and how the Chiefs, come December and January, come playoff season, the Chiefs lock up and they push the issue and make the referees call it. And
because in the playoffs, the referees let them play a little bit. Now, I would ask you, how quickly can you determine that in a game? How quickly can you determine if it's being tightly officiated? I wonder that right away. Those guys are paid a lot of money.
I think how much can you get away with early is probably what you shoot for. Because if it's late and it's obvious, they're going to call that stuff. But, like in the early first couple seconds of the snap, how aggressive can you get with your hands in those situations to maybe throw off the play just a little bit?
Mm-hmm. So John Butler's got a huge job, but you know who does too? Terry Braden. I mean, he's got to turn. See, we talk about these guys like Pedshock. We talk about a guy like Keona Davis. We talk about a guy like Williams Winery. He's got to get them good before maybe they're even supposed to be good, right? He's like even Van Poppel. I mean, Van Poppel's just a sophomore, right? There's guys we always talk about. We talk about it all the time. Like Sue wasn't much as a sophomore. What was Crick as a sophomore?
Not much.
Right. See, these guys got to get good. Braden's got a huge job.
That's what money does, though.
It does.
When a younger player is paid a lot, people expect a lot.
Right. So Terry Braden, here's the thing about him. The one thing I mean, there's a lot about Braden I like, but Rule to get maximum effort from the guy in charge of that room. You see him at those press conferences, and he cares deeply about what's going on.
I love like his energy, his positivity, that he brings up there, and it is cool. They're going to play at Arrowhead, and some of those Chiefs players are they could pop around.
Chris Jones,
Karlaftis.
Yeah, those are your boys, Sean. Those are your boys.
I mean, some of the best D linemen in the NFL, and they're texting Nebraska's D line coach about wanting tickets.
Yeah, I do love Braden's energy, and I'm just very impressed by him in a lot of ways. His emphasis on technique, just kind of very no nonsense, seemingly has great relationships with the players. What I'm getting at is, I think he'll get all he can out of that line. That's all you can ask. I think he'll get all he can out of it.
And he's a Gates barbecue guy.
Yeah.
Controversial. Gates is like an OG Kansas City barbecue place.
He made that clear that today in the press conference, he likes Gates. That's what I like. So I was that made me happy.
So before like Kansas City barbecue kind of got viral, like that was like growing up in the 80s and the 90s. That's where my dad and I would always go.
So when we went down for the Big 12 stuff, that's where you'd
always go.
McKeever would take me to Gates.
Was it the nicer like brick one? Or
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple that are a little out there, and there's kind of more like the headquarter one. That's
We always went to the headquarter one.
yeah, it's real nice. I know
It was really authentic.
Yeah.
The way they waited on you, the line and how they handled it. And that's so when he said that, I was like, whoa, that's the OG one.
You go in there. Well, yeah, that's the HQ. The one I end up going to the most is usually on State Line Road.
Okay.
Which is right near Rockhurst High School, but it's on the Kansas-Missouri border. And from our hotel, that would be the closest one, but there's like 4 or 5 of them. I mean, they're all over.
And he's not a big sauce guy.
Surprising, because Gates sauce might be the best.
Okay.
That's my favorite sauce.
Well, you and Robin way more advanced in this discussion than I am.
You'll eat the barbecue.
I just like barbecue. It's kind of like pizza. I'm not very picky.
And you'll get you would probably think Dickie's barbecue was good.
I did. I thought it was really good.
All right. Well, before we take it to headline number 3 and bring in a special guest here, HuskerOnline Headlines brought to you by Chubbies, another new sponsor here joining the show. And if you're not familiar with Chubbies, they make high-end, high-quality, different gear. And they've got a great line of NFL stuff that just came out at Chubbies. I got a Chiefs shirt. You got your Raiders shirt. Robin got a Giants shirt.
Sweet.
But they have a lot of just fun, customizable NFL things. I got that Chiefs shirt, by the way.
You got the Chiefs shirt. I'm going to wear my Raiders shirt to Arrowhead.
Good luck with that.
I'm not joking. Wouldn't that be something?
But no, we got some great stuff from Chubbies, and pick up your favorite NFL gear. But they have other stuff too: swim trunks, shorts, shirts, all sizes, all variety, high quality, high end stuff here at Chubbies. Go to their website. It's chubbiesshorts.com. That's Chubbies spelled CHUBBIES shorts.com/Husker. And we are going to give you $10 off with the code Husker at chubbiesshorts.com. Thanks to Chubbies for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Love our new gear. I know Robin's going to rock that Giant shirt at his fantasy draft.
Nice. So it's the the Raider shirt's maybe the best shirt I own at this point.
All right. Well, let's welcome in our next guest. And I wanted to bring on Greg Smith. Our new colleague came over from Rivals, based here in Nebraska, joining us here on the show. But good time to talk recruiting with Greg because Nebraska got a big-time in-state commitment from Tory Pittman on Friday. Kind of a Friday news dump. I don't think anybody was expecting it to drop in the way it did. He didn't go through the traditional Hayes Fawcett edit process. It just kind of happened. And get some more insight because Greg was really the first person to put a prediction in, put Pittman to Nebraska. Greg, first of all,
Greg.
Welcome. And what kind of led you a while back? I mean, what did you hear that kind of made you feel good about where Nebraska sat with Tory Pittman?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, and I'm sad that I'm not going to be in on that barbecue discussion, but that's okay. We can do that another time.
You bring the Chicago. You bring the Chicago flavor, right?
Yeah, we can get some stuff going here on this, but Q39 is the best one. But back to Pittman. The thing that led me to wanting to put that prediction in early on him was really that I felt like when you talk to him, and I've talked to him several times, both in person and on the phone, over text messages, the team that he gets the most excited about on a consistent basis was Nebraska. Like it was always everything just always circled back. Even when, he went on a visit down to LSU and it just kind of, you talk to kids after visits and you guys have like, there's that visit high and guys are really excited. He was just like, it was okay. Like LSU was fine. But yeah, Nebraska, I've got great relationships there. So I think between that and the fact that, he's got some people in his corner, namely Abdul Muhammad, who's really pushed Nebraska and I think has really resonated with Pittman. And then it's home for him. That was what he talked to me about a lot when we talked after he announced that commitment, was that it was very important for him to kind of put on for his home state and to help lead Nebraska back to where he said they belong.
Greg Smith, what is so class of 2027, 2 guys, Trey Taylor and Pittman. What is the significance of Pittman? Why is this so important? Verbalize that.
Yeah, so it's a good question because you obviously see it on the other side with Trey Taylor, but what ends up happening now is that you now have a defensive bell cow, so to speak, and a guy that is very well known. When you talk about kind of a top 20 in the nation player in Tory Pittman, and I think that's across the board at this point, that's a kid that other players around the country know. And it's not like, it used to be where, if there was a top 20 in the country player from Omaha, there may be kids down south in Georgia or Louisiana or in Florida have never heard of this kid, and they're like, who is this kid? But now, with the way that kids get out on the camp circuit and on the 7-on-7 circuit, and he plays with a national team and a national schedule, he knows all of those kids, right? And so they've played with him. They know he's good. He's been able to build a relationship with them. And so it really helps them to be able to have another elite, like blue chip prospect in this class that kids can identify right away and want to go and play with.
Who would you say, Greg, was the coach that at Nebraska, or coaches that really impressed Tory and made him feel comfortable to pop the commitment?
Yeah, there were two that he mentioned to me. Addison Williams was the first one that said that might be the person that he has the best relationship with of any coaches that he spoke with throughout this process. And that's something that I feel like you hear consistently about him. And then the other one, which is something that I honestly think is new for Nebraska fans based on all the other head coach things we've seen, is Matt Rule. Matt Rule gets a lot of credit from these recruits, and he got it from Pittman, and the attention to detail that he's had throughout the process, and how welcoming Matt Rule has been to Pittman and his family throughout this process as well. I think you got to give a tip of the cap to both of those two guys.
I'm glad you mentioned Addison Williams. What is your impression of him as a recruiter? This is now, Greg, obviously gigantic score for the new coach. I mean, just a monster score. He gets this pelt. What's he like? What's your feel for Addison Williams as a recruiter?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I sense and that it feels like kids mention is how relatable he is. I feel like he's a kid that immediately kids feel comfortable talking to him, and they can both talk to him both about football and on the field stuff, which is obviously important, but also just kind of shooting the breeze and talking about things off the field and just talking about life in general. I think that's something that kind of gets overlooked and underrated when we talk about these kids and building relationships, is that these kids don't just want to talk about football all the time with these coaches. They also want to know that they can relate to them and build relationships outside of the football field, because that then means to them that they care about them as a person outside of the football field, of what they can just bring on the field. So those are the two things that really jump out about him.
Greg, and back to Trey Taylor too. Are you going to be able to get out to Chicago to watch Trey play once this fall, you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to get out there for when they play. I think it's Montini Catholic against Israel Abrams, who's another big time quarterback in his class out in Chicago. So yeah, I'm trying to get out there to see him again, because I saw him last year, and I like to see that growth, right? And I saw him over the summer when I ran into you guys down at the field, and so I want to see that growth of his game. Yeah, I'll get out there and see him.
Hey, Greg, as far as Pittman's concerned, are we talking about a pure free safety here? Is that what Pittman is?
So it's interesting. I thought that it would be more of a pure free safety, but then in talking to him and in talking to some other folks around the staff, is that they view him as someone that could play that free safety, but also can come down because he's a willing tackler. He could play some corner as well because of his coverage skills. They pitched him on maybe playing a little bit of offense. If you've seen him play 7-on-7, like, I think he's very natural as a pass catcher and as a route runner. So that didn't surprise me. But I do think the main position will be free safety. But when we start talking about, hey, you can layer those other things in too, that's how you know they've got a really good prospect on their hands.
100.
One other central question, Kylon Haney. I know Nebraska early offered. It's always hard to get a read, though. Like, are they pushing hard for a commit? What's your read on Kylon Haney, where he sits as far as like a priority for Nebraska and some other teams, and maybe trying to get an earlier commit out of him?
Yeah, I think he's kind of middle of the board for Nebraska. I do think that there's some other guys that they're kind of prioritizing, like at the top of the board right now, but it's tricky. And we know this has been a thing, right? That we'll see how that then plays out, because Wisconsin, on the other hand, I don't think that he's kind of mid-board for them. I think that Wisconsin is really pushing for him. I know he wants to go out there in the fall and see a game at Camp Randall. And so that'll be an interesting situation to watch, because he's a kid that, every time I see seen him, I feel like he's gotten a little bit better and better. Have been impressed with his ability to improve his pass catching ability out of the backfield and his route running. So I'm curious to see kind of where his recruitment goes overall this season.
Well, Greg, it was great to have you on, giving some insight here on Tory Pittman, big time addition for Nebraska, pairing him up with Trey Taylor. Appreciate the time, and we'll bring you back some barbecue from Kansas City.
Appreciate it. Bring me back some. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Greg, thank you. Thanks.
All right. Thanks to Greg Smith from Rivals. Some great insight there.
Huge kid.
I mean,
huge kid.
You saw those clips.
Oh, God. I mean, and here's the thing, Sean. I hope the media around here makes a big deal of this, because we sure make a big deal of it when some Nebraska kid leaves. I mean, so when you get one,
the highest ranked one ever.
See, that's the thing. Yeah, this could be the highest ranked Nebraska kid Nebraska's ever scored
in the online era. I mean, because like back when Amon Green and Scott Frost were recruits, they were high. They were like that high too. I mean, Bill Walsh came to Wood River, and obviously Amon Green had Michigan and Notre Dame and everyone imaginable on him.
So yeah, this is a guy that you anticipate getting a 5th star.
Yeah, today, right now, he would be a 5-star. So on 3, what they do is they wait. They don't name all the 5 stars early, but the top 32 get to be 5-star by the end of the process. Well, right now he's the number 23rd overall player.
He's gonna get a 5-star.
So he would be a 5. And on 3, or excuse me, Rivals. Now we have him at 16.
See, here's the deal. And then the other part of this was really valuable having Greg on, just for the, I mean, I guess it's kind of a no-brainer. Addison Williams coaches the secondary, but still, Addison Williams getting this guy is big for Addison Williams. It's an immediate statement for a young assistant coach.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, there's definitely, with the number of in-state kids in Omaha going to places like Iowa State and other places, it's led to some kind of hurt feelings. And, for you, Nebraska, to say, no, we're taking guys that can compete to beat Michigan and Oregon and Ohio State. And we came in and got the one we wanted. And Matt Erickson's the guy they want to. I mean, they'll get a couple. I think this year was a unique year because Jet Tamala is the best player in the state.
Oh, this is right. I know. But see what you're talking about. I believe this is kind of a flex by rule. He won't, he can't talk about it this way, but he has said we have to recruit a certain kind of player. In this case, it's a guy who visited LSU. Michigan's on him. Ohio State wasn't, but Michigan was. His list is incredibly. Oregon is on Pittman's list. So you got a guy, and it illustrates what Rule's talking about, what you just said. Not going to take anybody, but we're going to take the guys we think we can win a Big Ten title with. Pittman, Trey Taylor, off to a great start in 2027.
All right. Well, thanks again to Greg. Let's move it on to headline 4. Before we do that, again, we're brought to you by HelloFresh. And HelloFresh has doubled its menu. Now you can choose for over 100 options per week, including new seasonal dishes and recipes from all around the world. Dig into the bigger portions that will keep everyone satisfied. The good news, though, is lots of healthy options and obviously great taste and flavor. And you can customize it when you are on HelloFresh. Kids are back in school. You have activities. You don't have time to grocery shop. You barely have time to cook. Well, they make that all easy for you. They give you all the ingredients, the meats, the produce, everything you need, the spices on an easy-to-follow recipe card. And you can have these meals made in 15, 20 minutes sometimes, depending on what you choose. You can say, hey, I need meals for 2 or 4 people, whatever the number is. With HelloFresh, they've got the right meal and the right amount of food that you need to order for your family, and great discounts. We've got a special to try out HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/Husker10FM. That 10FM stands for 10 free meals, and you'll get 10 free meals and a free item for life. That's 1 per box with each active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on your first box. It's new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/Husker10FM to get the 10 free meals and a free item for life. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Headline Show. All right, it's our last one, Mayhem Monday, as we'll put a pause on the great offseason series we created this year, and we'll bring it back in the offseason again. But our final Mayhem Monday here before we roll into the season. Let's go back to the start of the 2018 season, particularly the Akron week, and you go back to Scott Frost era underway, place is buzzing, it's hyped, everyone's ready to go. Week starts out on Monday. Tristan Gebbia, Scott Frost confirmed that Tristan Gebbia is leaving and transferring from the program, and the game was
mayhem
on Saturday, and that was not expected. If you remember, Scott Frost kind of played it out. I'm not going to name a starter until the very, very end, thinking that would keep both guys here. Well, Gebbia ends up not being named the starter on Sunday. On Monday, he's not at practice. He's gone. I still remember I asked Frost that question, was Gebbia at practice today? And he said no, and he's leaving us. And so you didn't really realize at that point the pickle that was going to put Nebraska's quarterback spot in. But then you get to the game, the Akron game. So much hype. It's a night game. I mean, freaking Fox, the 3-letter network, decides to air Nebraska versus Akron because Scott Frost is opening his first game as a Nebraska head coach. I mean, how often does Fox put Akron on?
It doesn't. It doesn't very often. And there was trepidation on the part of Nebraska officials about the weather. That week there was.
Because they could have kicked it up to 2:30 and got the game in.
Right. And there was talk about moving it up. Even when they got up on Saturday, they knew. So what they talked about, Bob Burton, who was an associate AD at that point, said that they knew on Saturday morning they had a 3-hour window to get the game in. That was it.
And that was probably like 2:30 to 6.
Yeah.
Because the Lightning, when it started at kickoff around 6:30 or 7, it went, I'm not exaggerating, it was like 8-10 straight hours of lightning.
Right.
It was one of the biggest stretches of lightning on record.
Yeah, they never, how it worked, Sean, is whenever there was a lightning strike, they had to, they'd tack on 30 minutes to the delay.
Every bolt.
Yeah, every bolt. They never made it to 10 minutes before there was a bolt.
And then I think the Lightning went to like 3-4 in the morning.
Yeah. So
I mean, but the Mayhem, they get the opening kickoff and the Lightning delay. Butch Hug runs out there, stops the game, lets them know we have to.
No offensive play run.
No offensive play at all run to open the Frost era. But I think everybody was like, okay, this is going to pass. We'll play football. Maybe it's at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. No. Okay, if we don't play, we have to play this game on Sunday. No. And there was a lot of confusion. So Fox actually put it on the air and they announced that the game was going to be played on Sunday morning.
So what happened there was, according to Nebraska officials, that they said Akron didn't want to play Sunday. Okay. Nebraska did. Akron didn't. Now that could be Nebraska posturing a little bit, thinking about, are we going to have to pay them full freight now? They don't want to play. We want to play.
Well,
they don't want to.
They wanted to win. They wanted a game.
Right. Nebraska. Yeah. Nebraska.
Terry Bowden was the coach of Akron.
Yeah. Nebraska. Yeah. I totally see it from Akron's point of view, though. Okay. The big issue for playing on Sunday was they would have had to, they were going to fly back Saturday night. Akron was going to fly back to Akron. So they would have had to spread their guys around multiple hotels. There wasn't going to be one hotel that could take the whole team.
Well, they actually got a dorm lined up for him. So Jared Lamprecht, the former chief of staff back then, they had it all arranged, but it was mayhem. Like they had guys on their staff going to all the Walmarts and buying all the sheets.
That's mayhem
to provide bedding. Can you imagine just being some low-level workers
for Nebraska?
Yeah. Going into Walmarts around Lincoln, buying all the sheets up and getting all the bedding needed for all these dorm beds.
That's mayhem. That's what that is. And it was mayhem that night. Because we should make this clear too. It's the first time a game at Nebraska has ever been canceled by weather. Hasn't happened again.
And it was the longest stretch of lightning you'll ever see.
So you have a regret about that.
So my regret that night, because I honestly didn't think there was any way we weren't going to play the game. But if I would have known what I've known, my regret was I would have got out of my seat in the press box and I would have parked myself in the south end zone area by the Akron locker room. I would have liked to have kind of provided more blow-by-blow fight coverage, because I guarantee
100.
And if like book projects and things, that's good stuff to have.
Well, live and learn. And if it happens again, park your ass down there.
Nobody was down there.
No,
though.
that would have been a great idea. When you told me that the other day, I'm like, I felt kind of bad. Like, yes, the Journal-Star should have had somebody down there.
And it's kind of one of those things that people would have known I was down there or you're down there. Everybody would have come down there.
Right.
But I wanted, I mean, those yellow coat guys that work for Nebraska would have been like, go in there, Sean, and figure out what the hell's going on. But I would have literally stood more by the area and just tried to report, because that was my the regret was the fans. You left over 100,000 people, not in the stadium, all around. Everybody wanted answers. And that was the mayhem of that night. There were no answers that anybody could give. And even Fox puts out a faulty report. We're playing Sunday.
Right. See, back to you being down there. The Akron AD was there. I mean, you could have gotten some answers. I bet it would have been a little tense. Right?
So I went down. I was the Akron radio guy was leaving, and this is how. And I said to him, I said, "Well, I got to know this guy from an interview we did before." I go, "We'll see you tomorrow morning, I guess." He goes, "Nope." He goes, "We're going to the plane and we're getting out of here."
Yeah,
and
they weren't going to play Sunday.
I mean, they were, and there was some history there. So a year ago, or a year or two before that, Akron had a game, I want to say, with North Carolina, and it was canceled for rain. Same type of deal. And then they came back and played it the next day, and it was kind of a disaster for them. It didn't go well.
Well, the other part of that idea of coming back Sunday, there were thunderstorms in the forecast all day Sunday, so they could have stayed. And there was only, I remember reading all this stuff back then. They felt Sunday there was a limited window to play, so I think you would have had to play between 10 a.m. and 2. That was about it. And I don't remember what happened weather-wise. In fact, now that I'm thinking back, I think they could have gotten the game in. I don't think Sunday got bad, but forecast was bad. So I can see why Akron would want to go back. Now, people would wonder. So Akron was owed $1.17 million. Ultimately, they were paid $650. So Nebraska paid about
piece.
What?
A piece of the money.
Yeah, a piece. They were paid about half.
Well, then
Akron was paid roughly half.
Then Nebraska had to scramble to get Bethune-Cookman here.
Right. For a 12th game.
Which might have been one of the worst. Either Idaho State or Bethune-Cookman is probably the worst team I've ever seen play in Memorial Stadium.
What struck me about Bethune-Cookman was how small they were. You really saw a size gap.
And it was actually a beautiful fall morning and game, but it was a little chillier in the morning. And I remember how cold those guys were in warmups. I mean, these guys were shivering. And
was it that cold?
No, but the morning was like 40s, and it got into be like 60s for the game. It was an 11 a.m. game.
So that interestingly, the agreement to pay Akron $650,000, it came with another part, which was Nebraska will play host to Akron at Memorial Stadium on September 6th of 2025.
So that will be the home opener this year. So that the mayhem does tie in here as we try to have some connection to our mayhem.
That was part of the agreement, is we'll play you in 2025. Well, here we are.
But then, I don't want to go too into this because we go a lot longer, but you had the Colorado game that become the opener. Adrian Martinez gets hurt, and J.D. Spielman dropped a wide open ball that would have won the game. Gave him the first down, ends the game. Said he drops it. Colorado scores, wins. Adrian gets hurt. Well, Jebby is gone. And then you're forced to play Andrew Bunch.
And then what happens?
And then Andrew Bunch has to start against Troy. You lose to Troy. Well, then Central Florida's Danny White held up the waiver for Noah Vedral. So they wouldn't let Noah Vedral, get himself ready to be a starter, because Noah Vedral would have started the Colorado game at that point.
Mayhem.
Or not the Colorado game, the Troy game.
The Troy game. So there was a lot of mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, that little sequence of things was nuts. And to think, I would have loved to have been, how would you have fed Akron and given them all the amenities and things they need on the fly? That's not easy to do at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday. Can you cook for 100 football players?
Right.
And you're going to every Walmart in Lincoln to buy sheets.
Right. Stuff like that. I just don't know how you could have made it.
Well, don't you have to
work.
wash sheets too? You don't want to just put sheets out of the bag on bed. I mean, there's a lot of things that go through your mind. But
Yeah,
they were trying to get the game in. That was the thing.
Yeah, and then of course Nebraska ends up losing its first 6 games.
And it was, I mean, we love Bill Moose. He's been great to us, but it was kind of a rough deal for him, the management of that whole situation, just the kind of the holes in communication, like would there, but it sounds
Initially,
like, it sounds like no matter what, Akron was not going to play.
Right. It was, I mean, a situation like that is really hard to manage because it never happens. There's no roadmap.
When there were no hotels in Lincoln available, it was a night game.
Right.
So everybody in town for the first Scott Frost game had as Troy Dannon said, heads in bed, or they were all taken by fans of the game.
Yeah. Heads in beds. It was.
So they were going to stay.
God, that regret you have, I have it too. Because I didn't handle it that well. I mean, I was a little different than you because I was a pure columnist at that point. If I had been a beat reporter, next time you'd want to go down on that. You'd want to send somebody down to that visiting locker room. And because I think you would have got the true lay of the land.
And I think it would have been such mayhem. You would have been able to get kind of close to it because nobody would have, there would have been nobody kind of in charge.
Right. Exactly. You're hilarious. You're exactly right, though, Sean. You would have probably been talking to the AD man to man.
You'd be like a part of the meeting.
Yeah. You almost have to be careful.
Well, I did. So when I was really young, my first year at 1620 The Zone, there was a big delay on weather. And
for a football game?
Yeah, no, for College World Series.
Oh, CWS.
And so I was working with, it was either Kevin Kugler or Gary Java's show. I think it was Gary Java. And they're like, hey, go find out what's going on. And so Dennis Pope was the director of the NCAA and like the board of directors. And they had their own suite at Rosenblatt. And I just went in there and I sat in on the meeting as they went over like the plan for the weather and what was going on. I was 19.
Did you know what was going on?
And a lot of these guys were like, who is this guy? But then they were talking to me, and then I took all the information and reported it on the air what was going on.
Bliss. That's bliss. Now, thank you for mentioning Gary Java, legend, great guy.
They used to nickname the suite where Dennis Pope sat at CWS the Vatican.
Pope had a big presence.
He was a big deal.
Yeah, he had a big presence.
He really was. He the head of the NCAA, or was he just? Like,
I think more in charge of baseball.
But he like at that.
No, era, not in charge of the NCAA.
At that era, though, he was like the figure for the College World Series.
Yeah,
and they had to kind of figure out the schedule. But all right, let's get to before our final headline: odds and ends. Husker Online headlines brought to you by Billings Group. They're a trio of financial advisors made up of Lance's 2 sons-in-law, Josh and Nate. They're based in Salina, Kansas. They help clients across the Midwest and beyond make smart, confident decisions about their money. From your first real paycheck to your final retirement party, Billings Group is here to walk you through the highs and the lows. Billings Group, financial advisors by your side for life's journey. Visit them at billingsgroup.com. Securities offered by registered representatives through Client Private Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives through RFG Advisory, registered investment advisor, RFG Advisory. Billings Group and private client services are unaffiliated entities.
Crani-Yum. Crani-Yum.
That's elite focus provided by Crani-Yum.
Crani-Yum. I don't know if you do that without Crani-Yum, to be honest.
I'm not even just saying that, but I think you're right.
I'm not just saying it.
Right. Odds and ends, headline 5. Injuries. One notable one, Gibson Pyle, out, suffered what appears to be something more long-term. We'll probably get the final word on that, but Matt Rule did say he went down
in the scrimmage.
No word on Quentin Ives, kind of if he's going to be out there this week.
Well, he was back.
Oh, he was back?
Yeah. Yeah, he came back last week.
Did he scrimmage?
Oh, don't know if he scrimmaged or not, but he came back. He was back
because of the practice that we attended. He was still in yellow.
Yeah, he got back last week.
So back. We'll get more of a final report, but they're going to play it probably closer to the vest, especially if there's a lot of guys that have kind of quote the camp injuries.
Yes, you know it's interesting that it comes up in conversation. Certain guys that have been out, like Singleton. Singleton was out. Deshaun Singleton was out for I think Butler said about a week.
Well, Dane Key
Dane
was
Key,
out.
yeah.
Dylan, they gave a day off.
Right.
You know, like he kind of little things, camp things.
Right.
When you go 18 practices in 21 days, guess what? People are going to get nicked up and be sore.
And what I would say about Gibson Pyle is that's not just a camp thing. That he went down on Saturday, and that, like you said, I think we're looking at something more longer term. Why is that significant? Because he was your backup. He was a backup guard,
and he got hurt again a year ago. He had an injury kind of similar. He was out surgically. So it is my antenna goes up because a lot of these guys that were hurt a year ago have gotten hurt again. Mac,
what do you make of that?
Bly Hill,
Pyle,
Gibson Pyle, and there's one more I'm blanking on, but there's been 4 guys. Oh, Demetrius Bell.
Yeah.
That they're battling, that have gone down again. So it's unfortunate because Gibby Pyle is one of the better young linemen in this program.
Right. When I say backup, I mean number 2. He was number 2. He was working with the 2s. Sean, was it left or right? One of the guard spots. It was Shake Shack and him. I don't know if it was left or right, but he was literally working with the 2s.
All right, let's move it on. Odds and ends. Playoff talk. Just when you thought the Big Ten couldn't blow the playoff up any more than they suggested, their idea now is possibly 28 teams.
Well, I don't think it's the Big Ten's idea. I think it was an idea, and the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, took it to the Big Ten members, we'll just say, and felt them out. I don't think it's the Big Ten's idea. Have you heard something?
They're behind it and like it. I think the Big Ten is behind any idea that has auto bids. That way they can schedule as aggressively as they want to and not worry about a committee dinging them for losing a game. 7
auto bids in this case. That's what this would be.
So in this case, Iowa would have gotten in.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan with their win over Ohio State would have been the 7th team in last year. And that would be, Michigan making the playoffs with the way they played late in the year. I wouldn't mind seeing Michigan play in the playoffs last year.
So what Megan put up was a Ross Dellinger tweet. So this would be 7 auto bids for the SEC and the Big Ten, 5 auto bids apiece for the Big 12 and the ACC. I like the 2, the
group
two,
of 5,
the 2 for the group of 5. 2. I love that. That's inclusion. I want inclusion. This is Sean. I don't know why we're even talking seriously about this. This ain't happening. We're not going to 28.
There's a lot of bowl game politics that you'd have to upset. So we'll see where this all goes with playoff formats.
This isn't happening.
It's kind of one of those ideas. All right, captains. The first 2 years, Matt Rule's not ever named permanent captains. Will we get that this year? I have a feel that we might, but still possibly like a rotating player in with them. But wait
a second. What now?
So we've seen like rotating captains every week. I could see Matt Rule naming possibly permanent captains this year and having like one player rotate in as a guest captain with them.
Whoa, that's pretty significant.
But yeah, the last 2 years are some of the only years in the history of Nebraska football where permanent captains were not named preseason or postseason. Because, Bo Pelini, I want to say, did that where he waited and then named him at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We've seen it done different ways. We've seen Bill Callahan only have 2 captains.
So what you're suggesting right now is there'd be 2 captains and then a rotating captain.
More than 2.
Oh, more than 2. Okay.
Yeah, I think you'd have 3 or 4 permanents and maybe 1 rotating.
Okay.
Or more.
I really like that idea of a rotating captain because what I've always said about captains is you can be named a captain, but that doesn't mean that's the only leaders on the team. There's a lot of guys that don't get to see on their shirt that are pure leaders, great leaders. Tommy Frazier's the most obvious.
Never voted a captain.
No, but yeah, he's the most obvious one, but there's others. There's guys that wouldn't get voted as a captain that lead at a very high level.
And then finally, simulation Thursday. So Nebraska will kind of simulate game day this week.
Yeah.
From soup to nuts. The whole day. They're going to, keep the guys around and have all the downtime you'd have in Kansas City because this game's at 8:00 at night. I did find it intriguing that they are going to go to a local high school in Kansas City and kind of conduct a little shakeout walkthrough.
Which day?
on Thursday.
On Thursday game day.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is that mock game that you're referring to it's really important because there's so many moving pieces. You don't want to look like a low-level program. It's everything from where are we stretching? When does this group go out to the field versus this other group? It is sideline behavior. And here's the thing, Sean. How many transfers do they have?
Well, there's close to 40 plus newcomers on the roster.
You have all these newcomers that don't know the protocol for Nebraska. You have guys like Dane Key coming from Kentucky. Kentucky does it its own way. Dane, this is not the way we do it. This is now we do it this way. Marquise Watson, Trent. No, that's how you did it at Georgia Southern. That's not that we do it differently here. There's a lot of different protocols. That a lot of places don't have the same ones.
So keep your eyes on that as they kind of get ready for game day. And by the way, I'm getting ready for game day. The Cheetahs, we open up tonight.
I'm sorry?
The Cheetahs soccer team.
I had no idea you open up tonight. Are you nervous?
We had a practice yesterday night, but we
how did that look?
It looked good. I mean, we had a good season last year, so we'll see how we do. We're playing probably in a little bit better league now, so we'll see how it goes. And but game 1 for the Cheetahs tonight.
What time?
5:45.
So don't call you at 6.
Yeah, I've gotten the Steve Sipple in the middle of the game phone call plenty over the years.
I know you have.
We play a team called, I think, Valkyrie or some team. I don't know who we play, but yeah, it's going to be fun. We got to open up the season and get rolling.
This is Carly.
Yeah. And swimming starts up for my oldest tonight too. So
okay, odds and ends. We're in the season, baby. I know.
10 days.
It felt like it today at that press conference. There's a lot. John Butler was all business now. I mean, all business. So was Dana, by the way, on Friday. All business.
10 days.
The head coach seems very calm. Head coach is in a great mood, seemingly.
He's put out the best content of anybody all fall. I mean, his stuff that he's put out has been incredible.
Your content's been okay.
We're hanging in there with Coach Rule.
Right.
But all right, we'll be back Wednesday, zip line, 6 p.m.
Okay, Wednesday.
That's our show for the week on Wednesday. Then we'll have a Friday show still before we roll into our regular season schedule. But join us at Zipline, 6 p.m. for the live show in Fallbrook. Smash burgers on special, Zipline beer on special. Prizes, Harley rides with Steve Sipple.
Yeah, Harley rides. We're going to do Harley rides.
Pictures with Robin and Abby.
Yep. Photo ops, smash burgers. I'm having a smash burger if you don't mind. And I will have a Zip Light in the blue and white can.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to have.
I might have a Fest beer, which is
what is that?
It's their Oktoberfest, like fall beer.
You and Robin are always about the exotic stuff.
It's good beer. Like Megan just showed it right here. Check out that picture.
Fest beer. I'm just going to go with the straight Zip Light.
All right. Well, join us on Wednesday for Husker Online Headlines. I'm Sean Callahan.